Boom, just like that, it's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's party time with us. We're the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and the man on the far side of the screen over there. You know how to do this, people. It's Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Woo, I'm doing great, Munson. Another nice intro and another night of Thursday night fun here on Ring Respect Radio. And pleased to have one of our esteemed guests with us tonight.
Yes, he is right in the middle of the screen for you. He is one of the hosts of Taking Over and Marvel Talk that you can go catch up on the latest episodes of those, especially with his drinking that happened on Tuesday night. He was turned to the drink, Papa Smokes. He is old lad.
I mean, HBK drove me to drink, man. The more I think about Tuesday's show, the more I understand what went on. But in the moment, I'm just like, and like we've got 10 minutes to figure this out and have an actual natural reaction. I'm just like, where's the alcohol?
The natural reaction
in there.
Yeah. Like JCJ just pinned Stephanie Vicaire. Where is the alcohol? Because the world is ending.
Transitional champions, man. Transitional champions.
I'm coming around to the idea. I don't think she's transitional. This could be a reign that lasts 4 to 6 months.
We'll see. All right. You're the expert. I'm going to side with you. We'll see what ends up going down. But let's say hello to the chat before we really kick things off. We got Zach joining us in the house. Zach, thank you for showing up. As always, really appreciate your support here. We got Basser up in the house. Bass, man, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Good evening to you. And, of course, STG coming in with the love and support as well, too, saying drunken old Ed Fries.
Sober tonight.
We also got the Stats Man in the house, Bobby Stats, and Tom Latimer is defending the NWA's championship again at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, but this time it's going to be against Matt Cardona on July the 5th. He seems to be defending that belt on MLP more than he does over the NWA these days, but good to see you here tonight, Bobby. Bobby and Papa Smokes, hello. Yes, hello to USTG. Remember, as always, keep that chat active throughout the evening here tonight. We are going to be talking about independent wrestling, talking about Chaotic Wrestling's Boston Brawl 4. There, I just about got tongue twisted, but it's the Boston Brawl 4. We are going to get to that momentarily. But if you were paying attention this week to the socials, you might have seen me make a little bit of post that we have an announcement about next week's programming here on Ring Respect Radio. We've got a guest joining us here on Ring Respect Radio. Bobby, I see that you just liked the video. Appreciate that, my man. As always, everybody on YouTube, make sure to give this video a like if you would do just that. Also, in the live chat on YouTube, chat rate helps as well, too. But yes, we have got an announcement. I might as well throw it up on the screen there, Pops, folks. Next Thursday night, you can join us and our very special guest, Jake Sheehan of IPW New Zealand Pro Wrestling. He's going to be in the house talking all about his career, taking questions from you, our live audience, as well as whatever Papa Smokes and I throw at him as well. We're very happy to be having him join us here, Papa Smokes. He had that hell of a match we just recently watched over on YouTube. We've seen a lot of his work in the past as well, too. But now he's hopping on Thursday night for us, Friday afternoon for him, to be right here on Ring Respect Radio.
Well, this is so awesome, too, because it's such a weird thing that we're forming bonds of friendship through wrestling from all the way from up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, all the way down to New Zealand. It's a strange and bizarre pairing, but I love it. And aren't we having a good time with that, Bob?
Oh, we're having a hell of a time. It's going to be fun talking some more New Zealand wrestling next Thursday night. Remember, the announcement came from Prairie Pro Wrestling this week that Prairie Pro Wrestling presents Redemption live in Saskatoon on Saturday, June the 21st. All tickets now available. Reach out to Prairie Pro Wrestling over on YouTube. We will give you the details for the e-transfer. $15 for general admission standing room seats. For general admission standing room only. Seats are $30 a piece. And I'll tell you, I don't think there's very much for seats left. So if you're wanting seats, inquire today because they're going to be gone very, very soon. STG asking, what's on the food menu for this PPW event? Right now, nothing has been solidified. PPW management's keeping it under wraps, but right on that beautiful new poster. The champ is back. Michael Allen Richard Clark at the top of that thing holding the PPW belt. But right below him, very not so precariously, Papa Smokes, is the Mexican Devil eyeballing that gold that he's been after.
Asesino! El Asesino, yes!
He's got such an online following now, Munson, of all these fans. Don't you find it odd that everybody that watches PPW likes El Asesino?
That's because they haven't had to be in a locker room with the guy before. That maybe that would change their perception of him. But yes, but he will be there on the 21st as well, too, among many of your other PPW favorites. Come on. I am not on the goddamn booking committee. And yes, Michael Allen Richard Clark is great. He is our champion. He's defended well so far. It'll be great to have him back on the card that very night. And again, Papa Smokes, you and I just got done calling that match with Paralira taking on Tyler Adams and Rose in her debut. What a match that was. That's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks on the channel as well, too. Catching up on the channel. We're getting up to real time just about. By the time we get to the 21st, we will be 1 week removed from that tag team ladder matchup being released on the channel. That is going to be huge for us. But make sure, you're following PPW on all social media as well as giving us a sub over on the YouTube side of things. Gentlemen, let's talk about... Yeah, sorry, Papa Smokes. Go ahead.
Just quickly on that note, you and I had to film that three-way tag team ladder match. That was a challenge. Now we're going to have to call it pretty soon, too, and that's going to be a challenge. What an insane asylum that match was. Can't wait to bring it to the PPW Nation on YouTube one of these weeks coming up soon.
Well, let's not get ourselves, Papa Smokes. You and our latest new cameraman did all the filming. I just sat there in the director's chair, not, pointing, pretending like I actually have a real job there now. But that being said, you guys did a great job, and I can't wait to call it that night. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great release for us. It takes 8 years to get to that director's chair, but, I finally made it.
But you have Papa Smokes right here, who, age before beauty here. Mr. Papa Smokes should be in that chair first.
In the director's chair.
You're the young man. You should be holding up the heavy camera and let Papa Smokes take a seat. Let him have his beer.
Well, we will get a replacement for Papa Smokes on the camera side so that we can give him a cushier job. Coming up very soon.
Papa Smokes. I totally believe Munson.
It's been years I've been hearing that. More than 5 years I've heard that.
Well, try 8, Papa Smokes. Try 8. But
something like that.
All right, let's not.
He said more than 5. 8 is more than 5. Don't correct the man when he's correct.
Fine.
Let's just get rid of me and you, Papa Smokes. We'll go ahead.
Nice. Oh, no, this is perfect.
Oh, God damn it. On my own show, too. Jesus. Anyway, let's get down to business. Let's talk about chaotic wrestling. As we're getting into this, it's Boston Brawl 4. I know Papa Smokes is going to probably want to talk about the arena, but before we do, Ed, for those who don't know already, give us a little quick background rundown of Chaotic again and the history of this event.
Yeah, Chaotic Wrestling is a local indie promotion from my neck of the woods. They do shows all over, mostly Massachusetts. They do some shows outside of Massachusetts, typically in the New Hampshire area. This is taking place from the Excel Academy, which is, as we'll talk about in the main event, the school at which Brad Cashew has his shoot job, where he is the wrestling coach for the freestyle wrestling team at this Massachusetts Boston Academy. It's a big fun gymnasium. It is your typical indie show. They are actually in a gym. I attended a live show, I want to say 2-3 months ago when they were last in Tewksbury. I don't do the travels to Boston. Boston is about a 45-minute drive. I don't like doing the Boston shows. I don't do the Watertown shows. And they've been doing a real big loop of Watertown, Boston. They're at a brewery this upcoming Thursday night. It's not this week. I think it's next week. I think it's the 12th. But I tend to do the shows when they're in Lowell, when they're in Tewksbury. Sometimes I go a little bit further out for some of these shows, but I try not to venture too far. But I catch them all live on YouTube to make sure.
Yeah. Beers and wrestling, they go hand in hand, like SDG saying right there.
That's a heck of an idea. Yeah.
I agree.
Like what? Why just have a bar when you can have the entire brewery?
Yeah. I see, that's the thing. There wouldn't be any brew left in that brewery if we held a PPW event in a brewery. Like that's.
Oh yeah. If we did that at PPW, it'd be like Munson would jump in one of those vats and we'd try and save him, and he'd be trying to get away from us.
You just drink your way out of those situations. Papa Smokes, give us a little rundown of the arena and stuff like that, like you always like to do with these shows.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I couldn't really find much stuff on it. So what Ed said was enlightening me as well. I knew that it was some form of high school gym, and it makes a lot of sense that it's Cashew's school that he teaches at and coaches wrestling. So quite cool, and probably a good deal on the rent there too.
It'll make even more sense once we get to the end and talk about some of the things that were going on in that main event in particular. Yeah. This was a fun card. Ed and I got chatting about it as I was watching through the matches and stuff like that. And every single time I'm like, even some of the matches, I was like, am I going to like this? And I found myself enjoying quite a lot, consistently a lot. Nothing that goes and gives you that wow factor. But when you're talking about a card from top to bottom that was good throughout, this card was never dull, boring, or anything. Like, it was solid throughout the entire night. A lot of great things that were done and a lot of very interesting choices. So let's start it off. We had Pat Matthews, Julian Starr on commentary, Rich Palladino, as always, one of the greatest ring announcers in the world. And Ed can attest to that. We know it as well, too. He lets everybody know we're at Boston Brawl 4, and we get on with the first matchup of the night. It's a WWE ID match. It's the former champion of Chaotic Wrestling, Ricky Smokes, taking on Jack Cartwheel. Jack Cartwheel's very first matchup in Chaotic Wrestling as well, too. So this very, very interesting. We've seen Jack Cartwheel on WWE Evolve, if anybody is tuned into that programming there. I am very curious to get Papa Smokes' thoughts on this. I will say Smokes is almost so polished to this point. Like, the more he keeps doing with WWE, Evolve, he's at the spot with NXT, he's very, very polished. And that's not taken away from Jack Cartwheel. Like, Cartwheel's style is not usually a style that I'm big on. I like that what he's doing, he's using it more to an effect to get out of the way of maneuvers of his opponents and stuff like that. He's using that agility to throw them off. I don't know, does it have a shelf life, I guess, is probably my next question that I would ask. But he's got a good look, he's very fit, and he does his stuff very clean. So, and he's got charisma. That's the thing. He's got a lot of charisma for days. So it's hard not to enjoy Jack Cartwheel, and these two worked very, very well together. This was a hell of an opening matchup. Great energy to start off the night, and the crowd was right into it. So I'm going to start with you, Papa Smokes. Interested to see what you thought of these two gentlemen in the opening bout.
Yeah, well, we've reviewed Ricky Smokes' matches before, and man, he is some hot shit. He's really good, and it looks like he's kind of peaking almost with his confidence and all that stuff. Getting the ID designation from WWE's got to help with that quite a lot. He's also just recently had a nice run at the top of Chaotic, which is one of the biggest indie promotion, especially in the northeast of the U.S. there, but one of the biggest ones in the U.S. The sky's the limit for this guy, so you can see that he's riding high right now. Jack Cartwheel, never seen him before. There are some wild names around these parts. Hey, Jack Cartwheel, I mean, it's so literal, but he's good too. And I agree with you, Munson. Like, he's got a lot of potential. It's not particularly my thing, but like he said, his presentation is good. His agility is good. He's a good athlete. And one of the things I liked best about this match was that they put it first up. And, we've always talked about these cards in these wrestling events. The first match is important. A lot of promoters will put a preliminary match first, but I think it's a great idea to put this one first. I almost got the feeling that Ricky Smokes having dropped the chaotic heavyweight championship at the last show, now comes out, jerks the curtain as in the first match here. So it's almost kind of, I have the feeling like he's giving back to the company that's given him so much. Put me in the first match. I'll do whatever. I'll win the match. I'll lose the match. It doesn't really matter. I want to do some stuff for you guys. It really had that nice feeling about it to me that Smokes was giving back to his company. And wow, the fans got a thrill. A slick, fast-paced, nice action-packed match for the first match. Bang, your show's going off perfectly right off the bat.
Yeah. And Ed, your thoughts on this?
I mean, Jack Hartwell is something to behold because he reminds me a little bit of Reggie from WWE, whether Sidney Akeem now on the independent scene. They have a similar feel to me. And I always kind of put them in the same thing. But I do have to agree with Bobby. I think he uses it so much more interestingly than Sidney Akeem did in WWE. It's much more of a full character development where it's almost in every facet of his wrestling ability, he's introducing this acrobatic and cartwheeling ability that he has. And I really find that interesting because it's more than just a piece of his gimmick to get him noticed. It's a legit part of his in-ring style, the person that he is. And I think that's something that makes it more than just a flash in the pan gimmick. Could it stand the test of time for 10 to 20 years like The Undertaker? No, obviously something like this will eventually run its course. But in that time, you can develop all these other skills, all these other character beats to be able to transition from the cartwheel man into something more interesting, more, and you can dive deeper into who you are and what you do. I put it in the same way of like Milo Mira. Milo Mira is the pogo stick guy. He does the pogo stick thing. It's what gets him noticed, but he doesn't use the pogo stick every time because he wants to dig deeper into what the miraculous Milo Mira is, who Milo Mira is, and what he's going to be. And I'm very excited to see what Jack Cartwheel over the next 10 to 15 years goes ahead and develops through it. Whereas Ricky Smokes is generic heel number 5, but he's mastered generic heel number 5. There's nothing ultra special about what Ricky Smokes does. But what Ricky Smokes does well is everything. He's good in the ring. He's good on the microphone. He's sleazy. He makes all the men want to punch him in the face and all the girls want to kiss him. He is exactly what he says he is. He does what's on the tin. And as far as you can't get any better than that because his talent will take him however far he needs to go. His personality will take him just that bit further. And then having the whole package and being willing to do whatever's necessary and joining a group like the Vanity Project, bringing in his tag team partner, Brad Baylor, bringing in another Northeast, a veteran of the Northeast scene, even though she's only 2 or 3 years in. Yes, that the Vanity Project is the group on WWE Evolved. Bringing in Zeta Steel, having that, she's young, but she's very much indeed one of those sought after talents who's getting exactly what she needs to get done in lightning time. Zoe Sager level of time of figuring out exactly how to do what you need to do on 2 different ends of the spectrum. And then Jackson Drake, who just seems like the most polished of the 3 of them. He's the kind of like the veteran group leader, it seems like at this point, of that group. And I love how it's all coming together for Ricky Smokes right now. He's wrestled Nathan Frazier in Axiom on NXT television. He's at the Performance Center learning from Shawn Michaels, Terry Taylor, all of those people. Because you have to imagine the Evolved talent are heavily featured in work at the Performance Center. Whether they're working on their own, whether they're working with coaches in generic classes, whether they're working with NXT talent in those classes. At some point, you got to imagine that they're probably in the same places that the TNA talent who come to visit and train are. You can't buy that kind of training. Like, you can't buy the training that you get at the Performance Center. Whether it be, Jason Alberts, whether it be William Regal,
Dr.
Ricky
Tom.
Dr. Tom, I'm sure, makes appearances here and there. I know from the Joe Hendry interview with CVV, Terry Taylor is heavily involved down there at NXT and at the Performance Center. These are veterans of the ring who, while some of them may not have the greatest in-ring careers, they've been constantly building new talent. Fit. I don't know how much Fit Finley does in the Performance Center. I believe he's still on the road helping with TJ with the women's divisions. I'm almost certain I think he's still on the road. Even with Brogan down at NXT, I think he's still heavily featured with the women, making sure that he's continuing to help TJ develop that women's division on the main roster. And TJ, by the way, is doing a fantastic job with the WWE women's roster as a calm a whole as best he can. But yeah, no, Ricky Smokes is positioned to be a star. I think it's only a matter of time before Swipe Right gets signed, and if not Swipe Right as the whole, I think Zeta Steel and Ricky Smokes are almost guarantees to be locked into official NXT Performance Center contracts within the near future.
Yeah. I mean, there's also been that rumor of them and Zeta going to NXT in a short period of time, and I could see them putting the three of them together as a group. She'd be a great corner person. I mean, she's great on a microphone these days. She's only getting better by the day too. Plus her wrestling's good. But we then get Ricky on the mic after he picks up the victory in this, and he says that talent from WWE is starting to make their way over to his turf, to his hometown. So he figured he'd bring some of his own next time out in the former Brad Baylor, saying that Brad Baylor may show up at the next show at the brewery, and Swipe Right might be available for tag team action. Very curious to see what goes down this Thursday night with Swipe Right in the house. Our next match on this card is announced as a tag team gauntlet match. That means 7 different teams participating. Whoever draws first and second is going to have one hell of a night ahead of them. But interesting to see how this one pans out. I'm going to go through the list of who entered, who beat who, and then we'll talk about it as a whole once we get to the end, especially the end, because, oh my God. All right, so we have up first, it's Manus and Sister Selena of the GGC taking on Spike Nishimura and Livia, called the Counterculture. Spike ends up getting the win over Manus. They go on. They are now going to face up against Bam Bam and Bear Bear, better known as B3, Becca's boys there. But Becca not in the house, so they got to really prove themselves here tonight. Prove themselves they will. They take a pin over Olivia. Moving on to the next team, it's Seabass, Finn, and Sean Keegan Vegan, better known as Catch and Release. And once again, B3 picks up a pinfall victory. Starting to be a bit of a trend here, because up next we got Paris Van Dale and Jay Tunis. Paris Van Dale now being put with somebody else in this matchup. And this doesn't play out all that well. Paris Van Dale gets a little pissed off with Tunis, leaves the fight. Boom, B3 picks up another victory in this matchup. I'm starting to think, my God, B3 is going to run this entire gauntlet here tonight. I thought they were going to be out early. All right, next up, then correct me if I'm wrong, Ed, the Jam Jams making their debut. Mm-hmm. This is their official pro wrestling debut.
Well, this is their chaotic debut. They are talent from the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. They've been doing shows with the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. They may be doing other shows, but this is their official chaotic debut.
But they're quite green and quite young, these two boys. Anyway, so I'm getting in there. They're very flashy, very quick, got a real good thing going on for themselves, and they pick up the big victory. They finally put B3 out of this, but I'm thinking to myself, there's one team left. It's only got to be one team that there possibly is to be left in this thing. And oh boy, the Jam Jams are in a world of trouble now, because all hail our king and queen, BMT and Ariel, the Monarchy, coming out here for this thing. And I'm like, all right, here we go. They're going to pick up the victory on their way back to the tag belts. And then what the hell happened? The Jam Jams pick up the upset victory in this thing. My jaw hits the goddamn floor watching this matchup, and I'm like, oh my God, BMT and Ariel just lost to these two young lads. I don't hate it, though. At the same time, this was such an unexpected, cool finish to smash over a hot new team in the company. Now the Jam Jams are on everybody's radar. Ed, I'll start with you on this one, then we'll go to Papa Smokes.
Sure. I love this match. I'm a sucker for a gauntlet. It gets people on the card, especially on indie shows. You kind of get to have some fun, get to see a bunch of different people. People don't have to work very long. You can work in some of this younger, newer, fresher talent from your pro wrestling academies, and you can put them in there with people that you know and trust that are safe and secure. You know, you can go ahead and put in a Sister Selena and a Manus, people who are coming up and coming part of the GGC. You can go ahead and let these people be part of it with, you know, a well-trained person like Livia, with her father being a professional wrestler, with Spike, who had just done a run with Sendai Girls before she came back earlier, late in 2024. So that makes a lot of sense. The Jam Jams surprised to me. No idea who they were. Love them. I refuse to call them Bam Bam and Bear. I refuse to do this bullshit. No, they are not.
B3. It's just B3.
No, they are not.
They're not. I
can't. For the life of me, I can't remember. Oh, the Shooter Boys. That's who they are. That's who they're going to be. Anthony Vecchio and Aaron Ortiz. They are sensational people. They do not need to be assorting with this Becca.
No, come on. Don't do Becca like that.
Don't go there.
No, we're going to go there. They do not need to be kowtowing to this Becca. They're much more talented than she ever will be. I mean,
ouch.
Her wrestling is sensational. Don't get me wrong. I can't fault her wrestling. But
don't go ragging on the singing. Don't go ragging on the singing.
Even worse, Ed. Even worse.
Ed.
What?
You take another fireball and listen properly, because that is some magical singing.
That is not what that is.
Eddie takes the fireball. Yeah.
Becca's driving him to drink now too.
It's more months than
Bob, you asking how long Becca's boys have been wrestling in the ring? He called them Becca's boys. 2000. Okay, so they're pretty fresh. All right.
They're part of the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy.
Okay.
Their Cage Match has their first matches coming in May of 2024. But again, the Creative Pro is the same place that birthed talent like Michael Jacob Freeman. Creative Pro also is the home of Aaron Rourke, WWID talent. Gabby the Gnome, you know the Gnomey. She's part of the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy as well. Fantastic talent down there. Pat Buck, I believe, and Brian Myers, I believe, are in charge of that. At least they were at one point. I'm sure that they're still heavily involved, even with their AEW and TNA work as a whole. Not familiar with the name Nat Castle, but potentially, yeah. Sounds about right.
Well, now we need Papa Smokes' thoughts on the tag team gauntlet match and the Jam Jams picking up the big victory.
Yeah, this was totally wild, and you had to imagine the person doing the booking for this was having some real fun. We saw a gauntlet tag team match like this on one of the previous shows we reviewed, and it's a wild thing. But I agree with Ed also, is that it's a good way to get talent on the card. And then it's a little tournament, right? It's fun for the fans to follow along, like a real sports tournament kind of thing. And look at this, the upset victory at the end. And I like the look of the Jam Jams. They've got something going on. It's going to be a little bit before they're at the peak of their game, so to speak. But what a booking decision, and what a shocking ending for the fans in the building at the end too, who have wanted to see the Monarchy get theirs for so long after all this arrogance and talking down to the fans and all the talent. Everybody wanted to see them get theirs. They just didn't realize they were going to see it on this night. And what a good surprise. And what a good thing for kayfabe too, making it look like anybody's got a chance on one of these tag team gauntlets. Very good. I also just wanted to say I'm always down for Paris Van Dale. I think she's really good. She works so good as a heel. She gets the fans so pissed off. Her her presentation and her gimmick, so to speak, are good. That she's the rich girl and everything else. Like her, have my eye on her. I think she could take a step up at some point too.
Yeah, she's another one that's very polished. I also like when the match finished and the Jam Jams come to that realization they won. The selling on their facials as they come to that realization, their music's playing, their names being said. It's kind of that realize like, holy shit, we pulled it off kind of thing, like that just magical moment right there for them. Well done by these two guys. Again, we'll have our eyes on their development as it goes. Again, we're seeing the very start of their careers. I'm curious to see what we'll be talking about from the Jam Jams 2 years, 4 years, 6 years from now. We'll see how it all unfolds. Up next on this card, this was a fun type of match for many different reasons. It's Big Bacon, Brad Hollister, taking on Big Cheese, Tony Navarro. It's cheese versus bacon in the greatest debate on planet Earth today. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of bacon or are you on the side of cheese? Oh my God!
There's no better food than bacon. Just so we're clear, as great as cheese is and as necessary as cheese is, bacon is the magical food.
Yeah.
Very true, very true. But this got funny too because the audience there, they start chanting turkey bacon at Brad Hollister, which he's getting really pissed off about, which I thought was great. And even on commentary, they're like, turkey bacon, the worst of all the bacons. Like, this has turned into a real food debate before we even get to the first lockup of the match. Then bacon bits became another chant that they came up with for Brad Hollister there before reverting back to turkey bacon, which seemed to catch very, very well. And it was solid. I mean, I think this is the first time we've gotten to see at least in the time that Pop Smokes and I have been watching, our first time to really see the Big Cheese in a longer singles matchup. And there's a lot of talent within him. He's got that charisma. He's got the crowd pumped up. They were behind him, which is great for a babyface. Hollister was good too. He sold every part of it as the heel side of this thing. This was a good matchup. Again, much like most of this card, it was good throughout. I was entertaining. The crowd made it fun as hell. And I liked these two guys. I thought they did a great display in this matchup. Papa Smokes, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, for sure. I felt like this match showed that the card was set up nicely, too. You had this, no pun intended, this chaotic tag team match, gauntlet match right before this. It got wild, it got wacky, there was all kinds of stuff in it, but then we got back to just a straight up traditional match. It was like a palate cleanser a little bit for me. I liked this a lot. The crowd was so much behind Tony Navarro. Boy, he's a big favorite around there. And then Hollister, more the veteran kind of, and you could see that he was kind of leading the match a little bit. And yeah, good, nice, clean win at the end. Both guys looking good after this match. Nobody got sullied by losing or anything. And Hollister with a big win here. Not such a surprise. The crowd really wanted Navarro to go over, but it wasn't going to happen. I like this match where it's put in the card. After that gauntlet match, it made a lot of sense to just put a nice traditional match that stayed in the ring and everything. Good stuff. I really like it.
Yeah, really was.
My thing with Brad Hollister is again, when you only watch one promotion and you only watch specific shows, you really don't get a glimpse of what these guys are capable of. Brad Hollister, local veteran, been here for years, but more importantly, Brad Hollister in Beyond Wrestling, another local promotion, the slightly bigger promotion, they just upgraded to they do a weekly show called Wrestling Open every Thursday night out of the same facility. They just had to move the facility because unfortunately the old facility was no longer available to them. But they basically say, like, this is our residency. Like, we're here. We'll be here every Thursday. They just started a new one in Rhode Island for every Monday night so that they have that as well. They also have their own shows branded under the Beyond Wrestling umbrella as opposed to just the Wrestling Open umbrellas, which are their own separate kind of promotion. Brad Hollister on that is part of like a business. It's like the big bacon business thing. He has a group which includes one of Bobby's favorites from MLW, Love Doug.
Oh, good.
Love Doug is part of that group. TJ Crawford is also part of that group.
I'd love to never see Doug again.
But I know how much you love the Silver Assassin, TJ Crawford.
Yeah.
You don't like TJ?
I'll stick to the bacon.
I get not loving Doug, but I mean, you know, he's.
I mean, Crawford. He's fine. I didn't get to see enough, I guess, would be the better way to put it. I think the problem is that Crawford came in at one of the worst times for MLW for me.
Yeah, but no, Hollister is just fantastic. He's such a great character, and going ahead and going from comedy to serious to heel, this heel persona is so great. I don't know how you guys hate on Doug. His name is literally Love Doug. You should love Doug. He's great. I love Doug.
I love the Doug that was in the 1990s cartoon show Doug. That Doug I can love, but Love Doug.
You know what, Doug Funny has the real dark side to him that y'all are just forgetting about. When we eventually get that redo series, him in his 30s and 40s as an adult, we're gonna see that dark side of Doug Funny. You guys aren't gonna love so much. He won't be
funny anymore.
No, he will not. Doug Funny will no longer be funny. But no, I love the Big Cheese. The Big Cheese just brings this charisma, this tangible energy. The moment his music play, and again, stereotypical music, stereotypical kind of character, but he does it in a way that you feel the energy, you feel the enthusiasm from him, and it just kind of like exudes. I agree, Astrid. It just exudes into the building, and the crowd can't help but be behind him. And he does the hands up in the air when he comes to the ring, and we all love it. And every time he goes, we go. He's such an interesting young talent, and I can't wait to see as he matures, as he changes. And we're already seeing some of these New England Pro Wrestling Academy talents starting to get an idea of who they are and what they want to be. We've seen Jose Zamora, who we'll talk about in a minute, go from a generic, Puerto Rican-born wrestling babyface, coming out to Puerto Rican music, to coming out to something different, becoming the spotlight, getting interviewed by Malcolm, Muscle Man Malcolm goes ahead and does an interview with him that I found. He's got his own YouTube channel where he goes ahead and talks about the matches. I've told Bobby, we need Jose Zamora on one of these review shows.
We do.
And I don't want Jose Zamora on the show. I want the spotlight. I want the spotlight to come here and do the show, because I think it would be sensational to have the spotlight reviewing himself and his peers in full character. But but Tony Navarro is the next one I want to see Juice have that next level of innovation like Jose did. I want to see where this Big Cheese character goes, or what deeper level, like we talked about with Jack Hartwell, what deeper level it can be, because this can work on the indies for so long. But as you guys know, having been in the indie promotions, with PPW, these kind of characters are great for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years. But after 3 or 4 years, you're either pigeonholed this character for the next 20, and you only go so far, or you evolve and adapt and become somebody bigger and better.
Yeah.
Michael Allen Richard Clark was never always Michael Allen Richard Clark. I'm sure there were evolutions to that young man's game that came from where he started.
Evolutions to the size of his muscles, probably.
Well, yeah, but that comes with hard work, determination, and money. To be
honest with you, I think he's always been Michael Allen Richard Clark, the man with the longest name in professional wrestling. I'm pretty sure that is almost how he started off, wasn't it, Bob Smokes?
Well, I remember him as Orange Crush in the old days. His hair was a bit more red, and then he wore the orange singlet, and he was just a skinny little guy. Like he still looked athletic, but compared to the way he looks now, it's hilarious to see those old pictures. He's just a wee lad.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I did not know that, so I learned something tonight too.
But like I said, it's like the Big Cheese is great, but there's that innovation and that change that just needs to come from all talent. Everybody needs to change and adapt. I mean, Chris Jericho may be a terrible person, but learning from Chris Jericho in certain aspects of the wrestling business is a key thing. And the one thing Jericho has always done better than anyone in this business is change and adapt. Chris Jericho is always coming back and changing who he is and the persona he portrays. And good, bad, or indifferent to the person he is, in this wrestling business, there are a few people to learn from who can teach you better about making sure that you maintain your longevity by constantly evolving who you are.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of learning to be done, but great to see it happening with a lot of these great talents. Moving on to our next matchup here, I should mention that Brad Hollister did get the victory in that one, but solid match either way for both these two gentlemen. Up next, we had the Tag Team Championship matchup, Triple Threat. Once again, we're getting the GGC involved in tag teams here. This time it's Rivera and Mira, as you mentioned, Mira with the pogo stick, and Rivera shredded as all hell. Take it on DJ Powers and Jose Zamora. We were just talking about Jose as well. And then they're taking on the tag champs, but not the tag champs, because JT Dunn's current actual partner, now sidelined with injury, and he's got Trigger the OG in his corner here.
Yeah.
So this one, business is picking up. This is great. We like Trigger the OG. And all of a sudden, early on in this match, too, Trigger does a move where he lands on his feet, and all of a sudden he goes down just hollering in pain, like he's blown his entire knee or his ankle out at this time. And I've got question marks in my comments here, a lot of question marks, because I'm like, did he? Didn't he? I'm not too sure, especially because he does come back late in the match. It continues and all this kind of stuff. It could have been an amazing sell by Trigger the OG, or it might have been a little bit of a tweak enough that he's a big tough boy. He went back out there, he fought through it. Again, that match we just called earlier tonight, Papa Spokes, we know that Barack Garani worked that with a sprained ankle kind of thing, but you wouldn't know it to watch his work that night. You'd have to pay a lot more close attention to really catch it. But sometimes you get these big tough people and everything like that in the wrestling business, and they'll fight it off. They'll go back, get it checked quickly, go back out there, get business done as per usual. Going over to you first, Papa Smokes. Your thoughts on this one?
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime I get to see my man Trigger the OG, I'm always happy. And then him being in the team with JT Dunn, that's two of the Chaotic's most experienced veterans in their team, called the Unit, holding the belts right now. Then the triple threat match was pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'm as down with the pogo stick stuff, but as Ed brought up, that it's a way for him to get noticed. Once I saw that spot, I realized, oh, geez, I've seen this online a few times. So it's funny. It's fun. He's going to get noticed for doing that. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, the match was pretty good, and they needed a tag team championship match on this. They wanted to bring up Powers and Zamora and also the GGC. Put them with the veterans. The job's going to get done. And the thing about Trigger the OG with his sore knee was, if none of us were sure if it was a work or not, that it was very well done, right? So great work by the champs as usual. The champs retaining their belts by pinfall and by a fairly clean win as well. So well done match, tag team match in the middle of this. We're still going to have 3 more singles matches after this, but this brings up the energy in the building, and very good. Enjoyed this one a whole bunch.
Yeah, you bet. And I was just going to quickly say, I got to ask, does Rivera look a little out of place when he's in the GGC kind of thing? Like he doesn't look out of place for the gimmick. He looks out of place because his level of his look and everything like that. I mean, let's not get ourselves. This guy takes athlete to a new level inside that ring. Even the commentators were talking about the 6 to 8 pack abs that were were very visible on this young man.
You can wash your clothes on Jerry Oliveira.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Or
can do that.
He's
So
more ripped. He's more ripped than a Saskatoon bus seat.
Well played,
Sorry, Ed.
He's in better shape than Michael Allen, Richard Clark. Let's just be honest here. He's in better shape than Mark. I know Ashley will disagree, but no. One of the things about that is it's funny because the GGC comes from Jerry Rivera. Jerry Rivera is God's greatest creation. That is who he is. Okay. The group he did, as me and Papa Smokes have talked about in the past. On the first time we talked about Chaotic at one of the Cold Furies when he got out of his wheelchair. He was teaming with. He was the manager for God's Greatest Creations, which was Milo Mira and Armani Chaos at the time. So, and he, as in his singles persona around the area, is Jerry Rivera, God's Greatest Creation. He comes out at the perfect weight of 200 pounds. Everything else, it's just that is what it is. The unit is such an interesting thing because me and Bobby were talking about this with a potential injury for Trigger the OG. The unit goes back 4 to 5 years to the beginning of the pandemic. In the middle of the pandemic, this faction was born. And this faction isn't just a local faction. This faction is made up of stars and, legends of this area and of other places. JT Dunn started it with the core group almost always consisting of JT Dunn, Danny Miles, Trigger the OG, AC Baby, Ace Romero, Big Boy Season, and Superman Mike Vernon. That's the core group of this thing. Throughout the years, Chase Del Monte, the person who runs Chaotic Wrestling, Dirty Dango himself has been a part of this group. Alicia Edwards has been a part of this group, unfortunately. Logan James, Alley Catch, both, Alley Catch is a much more recognizable, overall independent wrestling name. However, Logan James is one of the Logan brothers from here in this area.
I just want to pause you for 1 sec. Brett Martinez joining us. Hello to you. I believe, Brett, if I'm not mistaken, did I not see you in the OVW chat earlier as well, too? Thank you for the support. Appreciate you coming in here as we're talking a little bit about Chaotic Wrestling here this evening. Yes, there we go. Remember from the OVW? I did, too. So, yes, thank you very much. There was the one chatting in there. Appreciate the support. Thank you for checking out the show here tonight. But, yeah, sorry. Back to you, Ed. I sorry to interrupt there.
No, it's fine. And then like people like Shannon Levangie, Brad Hollister has at times been a part of the unit as well. And then when you start traveling this out a little bit to some of JT Dunn's other avenues, when he was working with Revolver, Pro Wrestling Revolver, this group also consisted of Jake Something, the most boring man in professional wrestling, and Jessica Havoc.
The Maker Wrestler generic version.
Yeah. He was Stone Cold if you gave Stone Cold 0 in charisma. Again, I will pay for all of this from Astrid after the show, but she can't do anything about it now, so I'm going to say it now. And then, of course, like Jessica Havoc. I adore Jessica Havoc. I think she's a criminally underrated talent in the independent wrestling scene and needs to get more work if she's healthy and able. But this match is fantastic. DJ Powers just makes you want to punch him every time he looks at you.
Oh, yeah.
Jose Zamora is just such an interesting young talent with this mic'd up gimmick. And if you've seen his his Twitter feed or his Instagram feed where he posts these clips of this mic'd up gimmick, it's such a fantastic thing, as we talked about on last week's show when we were talking to James. And he's like, we've heard of it here in New Zealand. Like, it's so over. They know about it in New Zealand as like, this is the kind of, like, he was talking about how there was somebody in his group that he was like, you need to do something similar. Not this, because you can't steal from him, but do something on this like influencer line. And it's taken the idea of an influencer to the next level in such a way that makes it unique, interesting, desirable. And again, it may not have the longest shelf life, but it kicks that can 5 to 10 years down the road until you can figure out what to do next to enhance the spotlight as you start to get the wrestling spotlight on you. I would love if DJ Powers and Jose Zamora would soon get those tag team titles, because I think that there is sensational work you can do with these two good-looking, arrogant sons of a bitches. You can print money with these two dumb bugs. These, you know what I'm saying? Like, these two bastards can print money.
Oh, yeah.
You just gotta give them the ball. And again, there's going to be more to this with JT Dunn and Jero Rivera. As we've talked about on other shows, that's where this all started. JT Dunn was pretty much done with his career. Jero Rivera and the GGC attacked him when he was pretty much retiring. And that's what caused him to get back in the tag team scene. And he told Jero that he was going to make his life a living hell. And since then he has, to the point where he's starting to cause issues between the GGC. There was a vignette on the Twitter feed where Octarus was talking about how this was a make or break moment for Milo and Jero Rivera to show themselves that they are aligned to the GGC, and Milo using the pogo stick in this match. And again, viral moments. We all know viral moments get people noticed. Viral moments on the independent scene get you booked. And if you can do things like this safely without injuring people and have a viral moment that gets the entire crowd popped, there's no downside to that, especially if you're not doing it every night at every show. And that's the key. We've talked about how many hypnotic shows and how many times has Milo actually done the springboard, spot.
That's the first time I've actually seen it in the ones we've reviewed, other than seeing the clip that went viral.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you see the clips that go viral, and they're always at different promotions. They're not always the same promotion. And it's like, we've reviewed at least 5 to 6 of these shows over the past, year and a half that I've been going back and that we've been talking about this. We've reviewed 5 to 6 of these chaotic shows and never actually seen him do the pogo spot. We've seen him attempt it. We've seen him try to get it going, and for whatever reason doesn't work. And that's what I'm saying. It's the anticipation, having the spot, having it make sense in the match. And again, it's a damn good, springboard plancha. Like, he lands that thing picture perfect on that body. And to do that on a pogo stick is a dangerous proposition. Like, you guys have been around wrestling rings. Would you ever in a million years have the balls to pogo over the top rope and to land on anything?
No,
you
not a
land
chance.
On Phil, you wouldn't let Phil Deadly catch you on a pogo stick. Like, and Phil Deadly's a wonderful man who you trust with your life. But I don't think either of you would even trust Phil Deadly to be the guy in the ring to catch you to do that spot.
Man, I'm 6'3", 270 pounds. There's not a whole lot of people I'm trusted to try to catch my ass if it's flying that high in the sky.
I'm hoping one of these days you try to hope that El Asesino will do it.
Apparently, SDG has moved over to the YouTube side. Wants to see you do a pogo stick there. And pogo stick.
How about this? If somebody supplies me the pogo stick, and when we get the first level of monetization, I will do a video of me I will be pogoing. I will not be doing what Milo Miro does, because
not over the top ropes.
I think we should let people know Milo Miro was a contracted professional pogo stick competitor. He did competitions. Like, this isn't just something he does on the side, just sitting there bouncing around on a pogo stick and going, hey, I could do this. At one point in his life, he was, he spent, a year or something, I believe, in the interview from Queen of the Indies that did with him where they talked about this. He was a sponsored, pogo stick competitor at competition. So this is he's high-level pogo stick, people.
That makes a lot more sense now, and you got to bring your skill set into wrestling if you can, especially if it's something different, but you can make it fit in there. Well, now that makes a lot more sense, because when you posed it, do I think I could pogo stick and get over the top rope into her? Oh, hell no. I wouldn't really think anyone could. until I've seen these spots.
Yeah. All right, guys, moving on from there. The next matchup is the Lumberjack and Jill matchup. I started to wonder why it was called a Lumberjack and Jill. Maybe you can give us a background on that part, Ed. But then they bring out special guest Lumberjake is part of the crew out there. So we got Jacks, we got Jills, we got Jakes, and it's a matchup between Armani Chaos and Calvin DeMont for the Pan-Optic Championship. I'll talk about the match in a bit, but Ed, any background on what causes a Jack and Jill match, or no, nothing, just in name only?
I think that the fact that the Lumberjacks may not have all been Jacks, if that makes any sense. They're being related. It may just be as simple as that.
Fair enough.
But you got Jacks, you got Jills, you got Jake. I mean, do you need any more explanation than Jack, Jill, and Jake?
I guess not. Thought I'd ask to make sure, but anyway, this is going to be for the Pan-Optic champion, the Pan-Optic championship. Sorry, the Pan-Optic champion, Calvin DeMont. Kitty, you got to go away. Who picked it up in controversial fashion after making his way or using daddy's money to buy his way into that Pan-Optic championship matchup. How was he going to fare here tonight with all these people around the ring that could kick his ass, throw him back in, all these wonderful things? Well, let me tell you, apparently money can buy a whole lot of things in this world, because at one point in time, one of the so-called Lumberjack Jill whatevers that are supposed to be on the opposing side, they're supposed to be not helping Calvin DeMont, gets in the ring. Good-looking young man, don't know who he is. Maybe you know a little bit there, Ed, and we'll ask you in a second. Rips off his lumberjack jackets and then goes after Armani Chaos, lays him out. Calvin DeMont picks up the win. Successful title defense. Interesting matchup, to say the least. Again, this by hook or by crook is a great phrase to describe what they're doing with Calvin DeMont. He's a Weasley little bastard. Makes you want to smack him. Makes you hate him. That whole daddy's money shit. Like, it's an age-old thing in pro wrestling, but it works. And it still works today. So I want to know, is there any more background on who this was that daddy paid off to help Calvin DeMont or anything? Or at least your thoughts overall on this?
As far as I understand it, all of the Jacks and Jills, I believe, are students from the New England Pro Wrestling Academy who are training to be professional wrestlers. And they work as security at the shows. All of the people sitting ringside in those chairs with the Spartan security shirts on in the four corners of the ring, those are indeed New England Pro Wrestling Academy students who help set up and take down the ring. They help set up all the chairs. They help get the venues ready for the show, and indeed play security during the show. It's a nice way of being able to give them the ability to be at these shows, to learn as close as you can from all these wonderful talents, throughout the nights. This is a great match. I love Armani Chaos. I think he has such a unique moveset. I think Calvin DeMont is the epitome of Weasley heel. He reminds me a lot of Jerry Lawler. He also reminds me a lot of Andy Kaufman. He gives me very Andy Kaufman vibes. And again, I was like, I know I'll pop a smokes with that one, but he reminds me of this Andy Kaufman. Like, it just, in my soul, it reminds me of how much people wanted to punch Andy Kaufman in the face. Calvin DeMont has the same. And by the way, this is the end of a big week for Calvin DeMont, because as I messaged to Bobby, and I didn't talk to Papa Smokes about this going in, this week, the same week that this match took place, his episode as an extra in Dead City, a spin-off series for The Walking Dead, had aired where he was on the show. So this is a big week for aspiring actor, professional wrestler Calvin DeMont to go ahead and get a big win here to retain his title, most likely using his Walking Dead money to pay off this lumberjack or Jill to go ahead and side with him and to carry him out in his arms so lovingly. It's just so good. It's just such a good shit.
It's just too bad that you couldn't have piped in Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" or whatever as he's carrying him off. And I would have been like icing on the cake right there. But Bob Smokes, your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, talking about Calvin DeMont acting in the Walking Dead spinoff, if you've watched him as a wrestler, he's going to be the guy that gets bitten by the zombie and then hides it from the rest of the group, right? Like, that's totally the kind of slimy little bastard he is. But I liked this match. I knew that the Lumberjacks and Jills were going to kind of be the tipping point in this match, as they always are in a Lumberjack match. This was done a little bit differently than a traditional Lumberjack match, but still, Ed talk about feeling something in his soul. Like this had a good feel to it. These two guys had a chemistry together, and Chaos is so athletic. There was a lot of good stuff done in this. It's modern wrestling to a T, but really they had a good thing going on in this match. You knew that the Lumberjacks were going to be the tipping point in this, and they were. And we don't know who that guy was at the end there, do we? He's not an established wrestler, does he have? Okay, so maybe there'll be more on that in the future, or that was the way out for this match. But I like the Panoptic Championship as the kind of secondary championship in Chaotic. They have male champions, female champions. That belt's up for grabs all the time. It's kind of has a feeling like in TNA in the early 2000s of the X division. It's got a buzz around that title. It's not the heavyweight championship, the big belt, but it has a lot of excitement, and the sort of more middle of the card wrestlers are really battling for that belt all the time. So good stuff. Love both these competitors in this, and for me, this match was one of the highlights of this card.
Yeah, it was good. Moving on from there, the second to last matchup of the night, we got Anthony Katina taking on the Hunter AJC. That's Andreas John Ziegler. Wow. Very interesting matchup, to say the least. AJC, he calls himself the Hunter. He looks like Hunter. They made how many Tarzan references on commentary? This guy's got a good look, and he's got a good moveset inside the ring as well, too. He's newer to Chaotic, or this might be in his first look in Chaotic, Ed, I believe that they were saying. But he's worked some of the area so far. I think this guy stood out for me in this matchup. I think that was my favorite part of this particular matchup is AJZ, because he stood out like a sore thumb, and I think that he's going to be a talent to keep an eye on.
Yeah, AJ Ziegler, something that you and I will get a nice kick out, has an interview with our good friend Tom Collyhue somewhere on Tom Collyhue's YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and look that up. That's the first time I remember seeing him. And it was nice to be able to see him in the ring here, 7 years of in-ring experience, starting his career in 2018. I thought this guy was sensational. It was nice to see him in the ring. Both of these guys were completely unknown to me. I had never really seen either of them get work in, and I was very, very impressed with the work done here. I would love to see this match again, and again, and again, because I think these guys can continue putting on banger after banger after banger, to steal a line from Mr. Sheamus.
Yeah, agreed. Bob Smokes, your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. This was kind of another match that I liked the placement in the card as well, right before the main event. A match without a gimmick, a match without any particular build-up or anything like that. I was also not familiar with either of these wrestlers. The first time for me watching both of them. And this was a good, short match. They didn't need to take this beyond 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes like a lot of matches are these days, where both guys want to get all their shit in, so to speak. Andreas controlled a whole time of this match. Katina on the bottom, selling for the entire thing, did a good job of that. But putting over Andreas big time in this match, and again, kind of like a palate cleanser in between some of these multi-person matches with gimmicks around them and such like that. This was more of a bare bones, good wrestling match taking place almost completely in the ring, and just a nice little appetizer right before a big main event, which we know is going to get some time.
You bet. And speaking of that, We're running a little late here, guys, and it's time to talk about it. It's the big one. It's the main event of the evening. Scheduled for one fall and for the chaotic heavyweight championship of the world. Champion Mortar defending against Brad Cashew. And Ed kind of prepared me ahead of time for this one. Made a reference to Canadian wrestling fans, in particular Toronto wrestling fans, the bizarro world of how audiences turn on somebody and change the directory. That was being very, very noticed throughout this whole one. Mortar, who's typically the one the crowd loves and adheres to, was getting booed. He was getting the crowd against him. And Brad Cashew, the dirty, filthy, shows up when he feels like it kind of guy, getting the cheers from the audience there that night. But despite what the crowd thought throughout the night, what happened was a fantastic main event matchup between these two gentlemen for the belt. Mortar, of course, picking up the victory, but one hell of a matchup. And I think Brad Cashew really held his own so well in this main event against Mortar that it begs the question, is Brad Cashew a potential champion not too far down the road? I'm going to go to you first, Bob Smokes. Thoughts on the matchup and also on that question about Brad Cashew's championship chances?
For sure. I have seen Mortar a few times now. I wasn't completely sure about him at first, but now I kind of get it. I like that he's a simple, kind of strong brute of a character. The fans like him. Now, this match was a little bit different because Cashew, wow, I was not sure about this guy. I have not seen him wrestle before, but I've seen some of his vignettes about sitting out and, he's too good for chaotic wrestling and all that stuff. But, I like seeing him in the ring now. Not sure about his names still. There are some wacky names in chaotic, I got to say, but Cashew cheating and healing throughout this match. Cheating behind the referee's back. I love it. That's so good. It's not done enough in pro wrestling these days. Cashew's got some of his wrestling team and wrestling students, the one in particular coming in and interfering in this match. So Mortar, with the size difference and everything, still has to battle from underneath throughout this match against the nefarious Cashew and all his cheating. Eventually gets the choke slam through the door on the wrestling student and Brad Cashew, and then what a finish for a Boston match! What a finish for a New England match! A tap out to the Boston Crab. Love it, chef's kiss for that one.
Beautiful. Ed, yeah, give us your thoughts on this one, and what happened? What was the reasoning that Brad Cashew was getting all the love?
Well, I mean, he works at the school. This is where he resides. This is his day job, like at this school. So yes, he had his entire wrestling team up in the rafters cheering him on. He had a couple of his students lead him to the ring, holding his sign, By the way, I have a question for you two.
Yeah.
How many forms and how many discussions with a parent would you need to have what happened to this student happen in PPW?
It depends on the parent.
But like I'm saying, there had to be like I understand that these parents probably trust Brad implicitly, but it's just you've gotta have a lot of things signed and T's crossed and I's dotted to let your child be thrown into his wrestling teacher to get tossed through a door by a big, burly Hispanic man with half face paint and getting booed even though he's the baby face. Oh my God, I love everything about this. As Pat Patterson would say, this had all the gaga. Everything was going on in this. They were fighting in the crowd. They were cheating. They were trying. They went through a door. The 2 referees got knocked down. Everything was going on in this match. They did all the gaga. But at the end of the night, this gets Mortar over as a massive, massive challenge for anybody to take him down. This puts Brad Cashew's Justice for Cashew story to rest. He got his opportunity one-on-one at the World Championship. He lost. No matter how many times he cheated, no matter how many times he tried to do all the things that he blamed the referees for doing to him and people doing to him, he's doing all of these things and not getting it. I want to shout out Julian Starr and Pat Matthews here. Such fantastic work on commentary to make sure to position Brad Cashew, be damned what the crowd is telling you, as the heel in this match. And they're not beating you over the head with, he's a bad guy, how dare he. They're using the crowd's reaction to color their commentary to tell you that it was such delicate but sensational work by the commentary team to continue to position the talents the exact way they need to be positioned. To continue this Brad Cashew story without making him a hero, even though if you turn off commentary, Brad Cashew's the babyface and Mortar's the heel. It's such hard work to do that in a way that doesn't feel like you're being beaten over the head. And you two can, if nobody else can attest to this, the two of you can, how difficult it is sometimes when the crowd turns on the story you're telling to continue to tell the story that the talent in the ring are telling. And it can become a problem to the commentary team. And it's a very difficult job to delicately tread that line to make sure that it happens. But the best thing in this match didn't happen during the match. It was something I mentioned to Bobby that happened after the match once I knew he was done with the show. Yeah. At the end, and I don't know if Papa Smokes turns it off before this happens or not, Mortar, as always, goes into the crowd because he's a fan favorite. People love him. And he's celebrating with the people. He goes all the way up the rafters to the area where the rest of the wrestling team that Brad Cashew coaches is standing. And he's dancing with his championship in their faces as they're booing him visually and audibly while still dancing with him because he's their friend. It's such good shit. Oh, I love this. I love Mortar. Mortar is somebody who, if given the opportunity, could take the entire wrestling landscape by storm. He wrestles such an interesting style because he can wrestle that ground game wrestling style that Brad Cashew wrestles that I knew Papa Smokes would love in this match. He can do the big, beefy, power spots. He can do the delicate, luchador stuff as well. He does all of that, and it all works for the character he is, the size he is. He's reminiscent of so many people, but he's different than those people he's reminiscent of. He's not a copy of Samoa Joe, but you see Samoa Joe in everything he does. He's not a copy of any of these Mexican or Hispanic luchadors, but you can see the influences of a Rey Mysterio or of, a Grand Metalik in the style of wrestling he wrestles. You can see the ground game and the Boston Crab and all of that to the local heroes that he knows and loves and the whole Boston thing. There's so much to him that I really wish the rest of the country, the rest of the world would be able to see this. And hopefully someday you two get to book him in PPW. Talk to the booking committee. Get this guy a flight out there. Get this guy out there and get him wrestling in these shows. They have him wrestling in Eastern Canada. They're being able to see him there. You can't let those people in Eastern Canada get one over on you. You got to get him out there to Western Canada, boys.
Eastern Canada's got the seats. That's the biggest problem. We need PPW. We need like 1,000 people out at the PPW shows so that we can afford to bring in these names from across the globe. We'd love to have him. Don't get me wrong. We'd love to have him. We'd love to have a lot of talent join us at Prairie Pro Wrestling that have reached out as well too. But it's timing, and that's the thing. PPW doesn't always have the best timing too, right? Like we've got 6 shows a year, so it doesn't always line up with some people. Maybe you guys, maybe the PPW booking committee can talk to the Chaotic booking committee and see if we can do a talent exchange where we send a couple of where we send some PPW guys to Chaotic and we send some Chaotic talent. Because I wouldn't mind seeing a Mike Allen, Richard Clark. I wouldn't mind getting to see an El Assassino and a Zoe Sager out here on the East Coast. And you guys have
a Mortar for a show, or you can have you guys can have Calvin Dumont. And guess what? You don't even have to send him back. You can just keep him. You don't mind. You can keep him. You don't have to send him. Just send us the title back and keep Calvin. And you can. I mean, how much fun would some of your guys have beating up Calvin Dumont on a monthly basis?
Oh.
There'd be a line of talent to beat him up, wouldn't there?
Yeah. Can you imagine Calvin Dumont? Can you imagine Calvin Dumont having to take that murder finisher from Paralera Pops?
Oh.
So I'm saying here, if you guys could reach out to Chaotic and see if there's some kind of a talent exchange that you can do where you can kind of hoop the costs enough on both sides to make this work.
Yeah, well, you say you want to see El Assassino out there. I don't know. I've heard this from so many people.
I'm going to give him a big hug. We're going to take a picture with a sign that says,
"Oh no, you won't." Trust me, you won't be giving that guy a hug. Nobody hugs. Even Pop doesn't hug El Assassino.
Why not? He's a wonderful man. I'm sure he'll give me a hug. Especially if I tell him I hate.
Try it. I dare you.
Especially if I tell him I hate Munson too. He'll be more than happy to give me a hug.
It won't matter.
That might turn it. Yeah, that might turn it right there. Oh, we send El Assassino and Sheik Akbar Shabazz out to Chaotic. They'll never answer the phone to us again.
I'm sure we can make it.
You'd have two of the biggest evil heels we've ever mustered up here around here. Especially El Assassino. You guys be in trouble. But
think about it. Sheik Abdul Shabazz versus Mortar.
It would be solid. It would be a solid match.
JT Dunn versus El Assassino. Like, tell me
get Paris Van Dale in there against El Assassino.
I mean, I like Paris. I don't want to hurt Paris.
No. I think she can hold her own against El Assassino.
I think she can too. I agree, but come on, like I want the big. Like I think maybe we. You know what we'll do? We'll put El Assassino in a Panoptic scramble match.
That bastard will win the belt, and he'll take a flight back here, and he'll be bragging about never returning your belt.
I'm sure we can make something work. Come on. El Assassino's a great man. I'm sure we can make something.
Oh, keep kissing the Mexican devil's ass all you want, Ed. But why don't you tell the people in the meantime and in between time what you got coming up and where they can find you?
You can find me and Ash Bizarro every Tuesday night on Taking Over. We got a big announcement coming this Tuesday. We're very excited for it. The details have finally seemingly been worked out. We're going to wait a little bit longer just to make sure everything's still going to go on as planned as we anticipate. But Bobby Munson already knows what's coming here, and we are very excited for this opportunity. It's going to be something special. So keep an eyes out this Tuesday night as we go ahead and drop the bombshell on what we've got coming up. I'm very excited for it. You can catch me in 2 weeks on Marvel Talk from yesterday as we talk all things Thor Ragnarok next. We've got a calendar of events coming up, so if you want to know about that, go back to the end of last night's show. But instead of just going to the end of the show, go all the way to the beginning and watch me and Andre as we are graciously allowed to do our Marvel Talk show with the host of Marvel Talk, Empress Peggy.
Yeah, it was.
And of course, you can find me. You can find me down here at all these places on the internet, but you know
all those socially things, you know. Speaking of shows, socially things, it cost me a lot when I put it up there. That fancy ticker there for Papa Smoke. He's going to tell you where you can find him next.
Yeah, all right. I'm always here on Thursday nights on Olay Podcasts for Ring Respect Radio. I can also be found on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X at smokes_Papa. Also on Twitch at Papa_Smokes_.
That's where you can find Papa Smokes. As for myself, Bobby Munson over on the X, it's Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads, Video Bros SK, Twitch, it's Video Bro_Bobby Munson, and Blue Sky Bobby Munson. As for what we got coming up, well, we said it earlier in the show. For those who didn't catch the beginning, right there next Thursday night, join myself and Papa Smokes and our very special guest coming from IPW New Zealand. It's Jake Sheehan. Right here on Ring Respect Radio. You know, it's going to be able to catch me this Sunday. I'm going to be, it's going to be myself and Andre C. doing Point of View, your weekly sports roundup, 11 a.m. Eastern time this coming Sunday. And, of course, every Saturday at the Prairie Pro Wrestling channel, it's myself, Pop Spokes, your commentary team with a new match release. And this Saturday, I'm trying to remember, Pop Spokes, I believe this Saturday we got coming up might be Phil Deadly and T.Y. Jackson. It's either that.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, it's Rich King. This is the Rich King match this Saturday. It's Rich King and Bucky McGraw this coming Saturday. Yeah.
Wasn't Phil Deadly last week, if I remember correctly?
No, last week was Morris Waltz and Riley Cruz.
Oh, yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So
They're good
this coming Saturday, it's Rich King taking on Wrestling Smartest Man, Bucky McGraw. And then next week, T.Y. Jackson taking on Phil Deadly in a repeat from their matchup that took place a few weeks back. Yes, Ed, you would have seen that match once before. This is match number 2 between those gentlemen coming up for you on the channel very, very soon. And speaking of channels, OLE Podcast is where it's at. OLE Podcast across all social media as well as YouTube and Twitch, where we appreciate all the love and support. If you've been watching along live, thank you very much for doing that and keeping the chat active. If you're watching on repeat, make sure to leave a comment. We're always checking those comments every single day and get back to you as soon as possible. Give us a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe, people. We also need the watch hours up, so make sure that you flip on your favorite playlist from your favorite creators here on OLE Podcast. Leave it on in the background at work, at home, on your computer, on your TV, anything you can. Let's get those hours up because we are very, very close to reaching that first stage of monetization so we can start having super chats. We can do all sorts of fun stuff to really build up the momentum of OLE Podcast. But that's going to be it for us this week on Ring Respect Radio. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to leave you with the weekly calendar on the way out. Take care, everybody.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and the eyes seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, I'm sick of all your lies. Why don't you try to be